The last PR industry event I went to, they started the discussion, and it was, for them, it was all around how the PR people could get on to the executive board by being the chief reputation officer. But I don't think it's the role of PR people. I think, yes, we're there to actually help execute on the plans for reputation, protecting reputation of a company. But I think the chief reputation officer should be the CEO, because if the CEO is not guarding the reputation of your company, you're in trouble. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think you just hit on the head. It has to be integrated in itself, you know, because in a way, every employee in the company should be somehow involved in the reputation of the company as a company.
If somebody says a brand name, the first thing that should pop into your mind is the reputation of that company.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you think about the number of companies that may have a good product, but they've got a lousy reputation, and so you may or may not decide whether to buy the product because of that lousy reputation. Because in today's world, there's lots of choices. And a lot of people, I think, who are becoming more community aware are voting with their feet. And so if your CEO is not in charge of the reputation, and as you say, everybody down the line then responsible for maintaining that reputation, that company puts themselves in a dangerous position.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, like, the customer service is becoming part of the reputation management. You know, if each point, each juncture where the public meets the company, you know, has to be part of that reputation management. Well, you know, always. So
where does Mark Zuckerberg come into all this with the Facebook thing? He's been pretty silent about it all. So, well, in terms of him, he's the face of Facebook essentially, but he hasn't actually come forward in light of this whole IPO. The stock's dropping, he hasn't come forward at all. So, in terms of could PR have come in there and acted as the reputation officer?
They have, and he's dropped the ball entirely. The shares are dropping, and they disappear from sight.
yeah.
Well, it's actually very interesting too. This goes to this idea of this implied paradox, right? They're doing something, in a sense. Zuckerberg says, "I'm sticking with this company. I'm not interested in the money." You know, part of the narrative is the idea that at every step in the history of Facebook, he kind of turned down the money. You know, he said, "Okay, being offered $1 billion, don't want that. Being offered $10 billion, don't want that." But then in the week after the IPO, he actually does sell shares. And then that's part of this idea. You know, you need that consistency in reputation. If you are saying we're in it for the long haul, then you have to be shown in your actions to be in it for the long haul. And there's not much PR can do, it seems to me, in terms of reputational management, if the actions underneath aren't actually supporting the message.
That's it. I mean, that's what PR is about, getting the message out, making sure that people understand what a company stands for, what its benefits are, what its key competitive differentiators are. But if at the top of that you've got a CEO that goes AWOL in the most sensitive week of a company's life.
Well, he also says that, you know, we're going to share twice as much every year, year on year. He's dependent on people updating their status, and then he's the only one on Facebook that's been completely silent. I think it's just ironic that he just hasn't said a word.
He hasn't stood by his own position, you know.
He hasn't stood by the own model that he has actually made $1 billion.